life. Whether you're ready or not, sometimes it's rough. And it takes all that you've got, but he's been here, just waiting for you to knock. So take his hand and plant your feet on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock. I want to live my life on the rock.
Hi, welcome to Life on the Rock. Tonight our guest is Diana von Glahn of The Faithful Traveler. The network's been airing her series, The Faithful Traveler in the Holy Land. She's also working on a new Faithful Traveler of Papal Pilgrimage in the Holy Land, so she'll be sharing about her experiences, and we'll be showing you a lot of great video tonight. It's good to see you, Doug.
You too, Father.
And we have some sad news tonight.
Yeah, sad night.
Sad night. Tell us.
Yeah.
Tell us.
This is the final show for our beloved producer, Jill. She's moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah. And yeah, it's going to be sad. I mean, I got on the show 6 years ago, and after about the first year, Jill took over as producer, and it's been a real blessing, a real joy to work with her. A lot of great stuff. The shot of her there in the booth there.
Yeah.
She's sitting there working hard. She controls all those screens you see before you, folks. She pushes buttons and things change all over the world. She's controlling things all over the globe right now. Well, maybe at least for the show, at least here. But it is going to be sad seeing her go.
Yeah,
I mean, we get this shot of her here in her earlier years. Yeah, when this was one of her dreams. She said she really wanted to work for Life on the Rock. Back when Jeff Cavins was still hosting the show, it was a big part of her conversion to come to the faith, deep in the faith. And she got that blessing, and voila, here she is. She met her husband here. They weren't married when she met him, of course, but eventually Jody Copeland became her husband, and we've had a great shot of him there. That's, I believe, Walk of Life, Walk for Life West Coast. There's their marriage. And you were down there.
I was able to go out to the marriage, and we just, you know, Jill's going to be able to spend more time with her family, with her 3-year-old Connor.
Yeah, there he is.
So we're going to pray for her and her new work and things. And I just wanted to recognize the contribution, the work she's done here. As Doug mentioned, 5 years, always working hard. Just really went above and beyond the call of duty at World Youth Days, and especially the Walk for Life. I know I'll remember Jill for her commitment to the pro-life movement. Always got very excited any of those shows, and helping us to get guests for the pro-life movement. And also, I have to say too, just her intelligence in her work and things, I've always appreciated that, and sensitivity and insights, and just had a real pulse and feel for the network, its mission, and what we were trying to do here, and what would work television-wise, and the guests. So. Very much it's been a team, and as you commented too, you're going to miss the travels together. We have great camaraderie on our trips.
I think so, yeah. I mean, we've been to Madrid, World Youth Day in Madrid, went to Rio, you know, the Wyoming College. We went out there, these live shoots, you know, all the Walk for Life out on West Coast, San Francisco. And she, again, the zeal, she always brings zeal. She always brings a certain energy, always walks into the office in the back before each show and just ready to go. There's a certain tone, a certain energy in her voice, and it's I want to really recommend that, or recognize that as well. It's been a real help. You know, I travel all day. I get down here, I walk in. Sometimes I just get off the plane. I get ready. I come in the studio like sometimes 45 minutes after my flight, and you know, I meet you and her, and she's always got that energy to kind of remind us, you know, keep that pep up, ready for the show. So she's gonna be missed for sure. Yeah.
That's a great point too. Our little meeting in the room before or after the show sometimes, a great place of fellowship. And I've always loved that about the network, you know, meeting the guests who come here. They're doing great work in the vineyard, and there's that great Christian fellowship communio experience here. And I've always appreciated Jill fostering that with our guests and making that work.
Always got
better.
a big smile and the energy ready to go. So she fought well in this battlefield where God had her placed for now, but she her gifts and her talents definitely are not going to wane from this point on. She still has much to give and much to offer, you know, in this fight for souls.
Right.
So.
And of course, Jody, her husband, is the longest, I would say oldest employee, not age-wise, but he's been here the longest.
He's like 97, I think. Yeah, he's pretty old. Not kidding.
And
Jody actually helped lay brick on some of the
Yeah,
expansion of the network out here.
Yeah, he was doing work for Mother, stayed on and joined their production crew. The first production crew has been here ever since. And I've traveled a lot with him and always loved his spirit. He's still going to be here directing the show and things. And Jill, I'm sure, will be stopping by.
Yeah,
so
sure we'll see her.
Yeah. And I wanted to say, well, maybe we'll go to a break then, and I'll give it a rest for 1 week. And we'll be back with Diana von Glahn, the Faithful Traveler. So don't go away. Back in a moment.
And we're back. Thanks for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Doug Barry, and along here with Father Mark, we are your Rockhouse compadres. And we have with us Diana von Glahn, who is the Faithful Traveler.
That's
Diana travels faithfully. That's
I
why,
do.
Faithful Traveler. You're travel on. Your show's been on the network. You've had a show airing for about 4 years now.
Yep. We were first broadcast, I think, in March of 2010 with our first series. It was all local shrines. We started in the United States. And our goal was to show people that, you know, they didn't have to travel far and wide to go on pilgrimage, that they could go to Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore. And so we went to some of those places and, you know, we talked about it from a travel perspective, from a Catholic perspective. And then we were invited to go to the Holy Land. So, and that was our second series, which broadcast on EWTN in February of this year. And then we were invited again to go to the Holy Land.
Wow, great.
So yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind.
And you've got, I wanted to comment on the shoes here.
On these things?
Yeah, these are, I love the fact that you come onto the show with these shoes. Faithful Traveler wearing these kind of hiking cross-training travel type shoes.
Yeah.
And these shoes have been to the Holy Land.
The nice green. Yeah, I have not, I wore these shoes. I got back from the Holy Land, gosh, about a week ago. We were blessed to go, we were invited by the Israel Ministry of Tourism and the Jordan Tourism Board to film a program about the Holy Father's visit there. And as you know, he went to Israel, he went to Jordan, he went to Palestine. And so these were the shoes that I wore, and I haven't taken them off because they're comfortable. They're totally comfortable.
So you had them on the entire time since you got home?
Well, I took them off to go to sleep.
Okay, all right. So you do take them off at the
I do.
I got you.
They're so comfy. I mean, I wrote a whole blog about how, you know, when you travel, that's the huge thing is when you travel, for me, I like to walk. You know, I've never been a beach kind of girl. I grew up in San Diego, so for me, the beach is like, whatever. I like to go places where I'm exploring things and learning about things, and so I walk a lot. And so every time I go somewhere, I'm always like, what shoes am I going to wear? And so this time around, I bought these shoes, and I love them. They were fabulous, and they did me no wrong, and I cannot recommend them more.
I just think it's now. And you blog about this stuff. Do you have a picture of your shoes on your blog?
I do.
You do. Okay. Well, there you go. How did I know that was probably going to happen?
I'm a girl. Come on.
So I have combat boots on my website.
See, there you go.
Okay, so you just got back from the Holy Land, and tell us about that trip. So you get invited, you get a call, like we all just get a call from the Israeli, ministry department or something, and they say, we'd like to fly you over here. So they paid for the whole trip for you to go over there.
They paid for a majority of it.
Okay.
It was weird. It was very weird. It was the first time we'd ever had something like that happen to us. Like I said, the show broadcast in February, and we let them know because they were part sponsors of the first series as well. And I got an email from someone in the North American office at the Israel Ministry of Tourism, and he said, great, we loved your show. It was really exciting. We love your energy. You know, what would EWTN think about a show that you produced about the Pope's visit in May? And I was like, I don't know, but I don't have one planned. So what are you asking me? And he was like, well, we want to sponsor you. And I was like, okay. So it was really weird. I mean, they flew us out there. They took care of all of our hotel rooms. And we also wanted to go to Jordan because, as you know, the Holy Father was in Jordan. So we got in contact with the Jordanian Tourism Board, and they were equally generous. And both of them were just, I mean, it was amazing. They got us a guide and a car, and they drove us places, and we had the most amazing trip. Of course, as you know, many people say, you know, God laughs when you make plans. The original plan was to go with 5 people. My husband would be directing with the odd camera work. Then we had 2 camera guys and a sound guy. And the 3 guys that were coming with us are good friends of ours. About a week and a half before we went, my husband had a heart attack. And it was very unexpected. And it completely changed everything. And then the day before we went, another camera person came down with the flu. So we went from 5 people to 3 people, and everything changed. And we really just had to change the itinerary. We had to change the plan. And thank God the 2 guys that went with us were really young and hardy and hardworking, fantastic guys. And so it was great.
Now, Diana, right now, 3/4 of the audience listening and watching is wondering and asking, heart attack? How could you go? How is he?
I know, right?
So yeah, and you're okay about this because he's okay.
He's fine, thank God.
But
He's
yeah,
fine.
fill us in on how he's doing because yeah, we want the audience to be at ease.
Yeah, sorry, I know I
this whole
skip over
thing.
these things. So much has happened for me in the last month. Yes, I was out walking my dog, and he called me and he was like, come home, I don't feel well. And then he hung up, and I thought, that's weird. And you know, it's funny, as I was walking the dog, I had this kind of like, you should turn around, right before he called, which was weird. I know it was my guardian angel who was like, come on, Diana, don't do the long walk, do the short walk. So, you know, I ran home, which my dog was like, what are we doing? You know?
We never run.
I ran home, and I saw these guys, and they were like, hey, where are you going? And I was like, my husband called me, he's not feeling well. And they were like, oh, okay. And as I walk into the house, I see a police officer coming up the driveway, and I was like, oh, dear Lord. So I come in, I'm like, honey, where are you? He's on the floor having a heart attack. So thank God the police officer walked in with me, because I was essentially unnecessary at that point. You know, they were just like, ma'am, step over to the side. They wouldn't even let me move furniture, you know.
He was the one that called 911 then?
He did, thank God.
Right.
He called 911 after he got off the phone with me, and that saved his life, I'm sure. We later found out he had 100% blockage in one of the arteries in his heart, and it took them about half an hour before they could get him to the hospital and get into a room where they were able to put a stent in, which would open up the blockage and free him. And he said he felt immediate relief. And fortunately, he has no damage. The doctors have told him that he could go on to a normal life. At this point, he's still getting used to the medications and, you know, getting used to the fact that this very scary thing happened to him.
Sure.
But he's okay. And, you know, the future is uncertain, but, you know, you trust in God, you do what comes next.
Well, yeah. Well, thank God that he's all right. We'll have to ask for prayers for him. Keep him in your prayers. And but he is part of this whole team and this whole effort that you're doing here. So the trip to the Holy Land went well. How long editing and preparation before we're going to see anything from this?
Hopefully, I really want to get it done soon. I don't want to take too long. It's a very timely thing. People are still excited. The Pope's visit to the Holy Land was so momentous. And we were able to attend the Bethlehem Mass, and we were able to attend the visit between him and President Shimon Peres. So that was, there was just insane energy and excitement among everybody who was there. And I really want to be able to present that to people while they're still thinking about it and while they're still excited about it. So hopefully I'll be able to get it done soon.
And you do the editing?
I do the editing, yeah, I do.
Yeah. What part of this do you enjoy the most? Of the whole adventure that God has you on?
You know,
The
I
faithful
love
traveler.
all of it. I love learning new things. I love learning, like right now I'm having to learn a new editing software because the one that I was using before is no longer updated. So I'm learning a new editing software. It's frustrating, but it's interesting, you know. I love learning about the history of the patriarchal meeting with the Pope, and I have to learn about all that stuff. I love learning about the lives of the Jewish people and the Muslims and the Christians in the Holy Land. I loved meeting all the people out there. That was one of the most amazing aspects of this whole thing. So it's funny, before I came out here, I thought, they're going to ask me what's the hardest thing, and I didn't expect that question because the answer to both of them is the same. What is the hardest thing, and what is the thing that I love the most? The answer to both of them is all of it. All of it is hard, and all of it is wonderful.
Has it changed a lot since it began 4 years ago?
No, it's always been hard and wonderful.
Did you ever envision, or even have the idea, the hope, the inkling, the desire that you would be getting a call from the Israeli Ministry of Tourism and saying, how's it going, Diana? How's the dog?
Right.
How's the home? Good. By the way, the Pope's coming, we'd like you to be part of this. What has that got to be like when you started this 4 years ago? That must not have been on the radar.
No, in fact, when I was delivering the last Holy Land series to EWTN, I was prepared to just be like, okay, I'm going to go back and be a wife now, and that's it. My television series is over. This was great. It was great fun while it lasted, and I'm good. And then things exploded, and then this happened, and so now I don't know. I mean, I'm not making any plans. I have no idea, but it was very surreal. It was very unusual.
Yeah, we never know exactly where God is going to deploy us next in this spiritual battle to do this work. I've got to work that in for
Yeah, he did.
In fact, we have several clips we're going to be seeing tonight about your work, and the first one we're going to be going to here in a moment. Do you just want to wait until we see it and then come back and you explain it, or do you want to set it up?
Well, this is basically like what we call a sizzle reel. It's like a trailer for the Holy Land series. So this is the series that has been produced. It's a result of a pilgrimage that we attended in 2011 with Cardinal Rogali and the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. And it is essentially like the rest of our television series. It's a travel show with a Catholic focus.
Very good. All right, here you go. Check it out.
I'm Diana von Glahn, and I love to travel and to eat new and exotic foods. But above all that, I love my faith. And I love the story about the Transfiguration because I always remember what St. Peter said was, Lord, it is good for us to be here. My faith defines me, but travel? Behind me is what is known as the Western Wall. And food?
Come to Israel, this good falafel.
How's your falafel?
They're the little joys along this pilgrimage we call life.
Oh my God.
Many travel for fun. I travel for faith.
I'm sitting in front of the Sea of Galilee. Let me say that again. I'm sitting in front of the Sea of Galilee.
But to understand faith and the people who have it,
What is your name?
My name is Yusuf,
I'm Diana. You said
and maybe one day I'll visit America. I visit you.
you will. You come visit me.
you have to walk their streets, visit their shrines, and yes, eat their foods.
You have the best hummus in the world.
And that's just what I plan to do. I'm on a quest to explore the sacred sites of the world.
Can you imagine, like, being out there in the middle of the night, tending your fields, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of angels come to you and say the Messiah is born?
I want to admire their magnificence and to understand why they inspire so many to raise their hearts and minds to God. Faith is a mystery. Let's demystify it.
We're walking the Stations of the Cross right now. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, it's good for us to be here. Let's build some churches. Let's put some tents up and let's stay here. Transfiguration is really a part of this whole pilgrimage thing because we're called to be transformed ourselves. The mountain of temptation. This is where Satan took Jesus and tempted him. Said, I will give you all of this if you bow down before me. And Christ said, do not tempt the Lord your God.
Okay, another light question before we get to some serious stuff. Of all the food you've eaten, have you enjoyed it all?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Anything you want to share about what foods you liked or didn't like?
In the Holy Land?
Anywhere.
In general.
Yeah.
I don't like beets. I think they taste like the dirt.
Hold on. Beets?
Beets, yeah.
Regular beets?
The red beets, you know.
Oh, you got to be
I
kidding
don't
me.
like them. They taste like dirt.
But they're so
I don't like
healthy for you.
mushrooms.
You like mushrooms?
I don't like mushrooms.
Okay.
They also
All
taste
right,
like dirt.
we're taking a break and we're going to I'm just kidding.
I love anything cheesy. Anything cheesy. I
Okay.
love it.
All right, now, okay, let's think more foreign now.
Okay.
Let's go over to other places of the world. Anything over there that struck you when you took the bite and thought, oh my, what have I done?
In the Holy Land?
Yeah.
Or, wow.
Any form.
Oh gosh, when David and I went on our honeymoon, we went to Paris, and this one person said, "Oh, you have to try rillettes." I was like, "Okay." So we order rillettes. I think it's some kind of like pork fat liver something. Oh, it was disgusting. It was just never having rillettes again. But no, I'm trying to think of something in the Holy Land that I didn't like, and it's all so wonderful. It's all fresh. They're so proud of their produce out there, and they really present it in a wonderful way. And you know, I have a weakness in my body for bread. They have good pita, you know, good hummus. So.
All right, now let's get serious for a moment here. The quote that you have at the beginning of that last clip about what St. Augustine said about traveling. Can you repeat that for us?
St. Augustine said that the world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page.
That, because I've heard that quote before, and seeing it on that clip, I thought was good. I think that's so true, and I think that can even be locally.
Oh yeah.
I'm from the state of Nebraska. A lot of people look at Nebraska and think, oh, it's flat. I drove through Interstate 80, along Interstate 80 one time. There's nothing out there. The Pony Express went through Nebraska. You know, the Oregon Trail, the pioneers went through. Nebraska was like a desert of it was almost impossible to cross, you know, 150 or so years ago. People lived in sod houses out there. I've seen some of these ruins of these sod houses, some of these, the Pony Express stable. And there's something 2 hours from my home that opened up my eyes to something much bigger than the world that I live in.
Right.
Why is traveling, even if it's local, why is that so important for our spirit, for our understanding of who we are as a human race?
Well, I think that it opens our lives up to all of the things that God has created, number one, which we could never even begin to fathom. But at least, you know, like I was like you, I grew up in California and I was very insulated, and I thought, why leave? We have the beach, we have the mountains, we have everything, you know? And then I went to Notre Dame for law school, and I lived in London for a year, and like my whole world exploded.
Notre Dame is in Europe, not Notre Dame is in
Notre Dame
Indiana.
as in South Bend.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there for law school. And but then I went to Notre Dame in Europe, and you know, again. But I mean, so number one, I think there's something amazing about seeing the different places of the world and seeing the different things that God has created in nature. But I think one of the most important things about travel is meeting the people. And that hit home so much for me on this trip, because I met so many wonderful people, Palestinians, Israelis, Muslims, who were wonderful, wonderful people. And I love them all. And it's like, if you think about all these people, it's so hard to think about politics, because they're no longer just people, parts on a board, you know, on a map. They're your friends. They're people that you love and the people that you know. And I think that travel, it gives us so many opportunities for sacrifice. It gives us so many opportunities to grow in charity. You know, one, by the wonderful people that we meet, but also by the, you know, the cranky people that we meet. I mean, travel kind of brings out the worst in people sometimes too. Right. And so it's a great challenge to grow in, you know, patience and all of the virtues. So I think that's the thing. It opens up our world. It forces us into difficult situations, but it also forces us into wonderful opportunities where we can grow in our understanding of our neighbor and in our understanding of the world as a whole.
You know, one thing I notice about travel too is that it gets us out of our rut. You know, we can get in a rut back home where we arrange everything just the way we want and like, and And all of a sudden you're on this trip, and it seems like it gives God some space, especially if it's a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
It gives God space to work. I'm not all about organizing my day. It's like, okay, God, I'm here.
Absolutely.
And what are you speaking to me?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Next clip, I know we're going to be going to Cana for this,
Yes.
this clip. You want to set this up for us?
Well, one of the wonderful things that pilgrims who go to the Holy Land get to do is they often get to renew their wedding vows at Cana. And it was special for David and I because one of the priests who married us, Monsignor Donald Layton, was also on our pilgrimage when we renewed our wedding vows. So it was really special. But it was also very close to our 10-year wedding anniversary as well. So it was.
And for those who might not be familiar with Cana, with regards to marriage vows,
Yes.
why is that such an important, gospel point and mystery of the Rosary and so forth?
Right. There's a wedding church that's built atop of the land where it is believed that in the Bible, Jesus attended a wedding, and he performed his first miracle there. He turned water into wine at the request of his Blessed Mother. Well, she didn't ask him to turn water into wine, but she just said, do something. And, and he did. And that was where that took place, in Cana. So it is his first miracle.
This is also where we find the final words of our Blessed Mother recorded in Scripture. Do whatever he tells you, is what she said
But she
to the
keeps
servants.
saying that. She's always saying that.
Yeah, she is. But in Scripture, there's
Yeah.
nothing else recorded after that, correct? Our Lady's it's like her final parting words to all of us that would be recorded in Scripture is, do whatever my son tells you. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to think and consider. The clip from the trip to Cana. Check this out.
Today, couples from all over the world come to Cana to renew their wedding vows, and our group was no different.
For better or for worse,
For better or for worse.
all the days of my life.
All the days of my life.
What God has joined together, let no one set apart.
Afterward, the Franciscans played this festive song, and we all celebrated, remembering the big day when we first entered into this blessed sacrament. Monsignor Donald Layton, who was one of the priests who married my husband David and me, was present for our renewal.
I think it's wonderful that after these 7-8 years, is it?
Yeah.
8 years, and you renewed your vows together, and I was there the first time you did it, and I just congratulate you once again.
Thank you so much, Monsignor.
My pleasure.
Robert and Lourdeline Tarampi wore traditional wedding garments from the Philippines called barong Tagalog. I asked how long they'd been married.
35 years. 35 years. Wow. This is so Mimi and Robert. Thank you for sharing such a beautiful tradition with us. That is awesome. I was thinking about wearing my tiara, but it was all rusty.
The wedding church at Cana is a small, intimate place, perfect for reflecting on the sacrament of marriage and the powerful messages inherent in the event that's commemorated here. Just as Mary became an advocate for the couple, she continues to advocate for us, even when our needs are as insignificant as running out of wine at a party. And Jesus not only solved this problem with a miracle, but that miracle had flair. Those stone jars, commemorated here on the altar, held 20 to 30 gallons apiece. That's about 150 bottles of wine. And that was no table wine. When the steward tasted it, he said, "Every man serves the good wine first, but you have kept the good wine until now."
Yeah. Wow. There's something powerful about what you have the opportunity to experience. This is your life with your husband, to be able to dig deep into these great mysteries, these great stories. One of the great things about traveling, I think, strikes me, just in even seeing the Pony Express station, the old little wooden shack that sits out there in western Nebraska. When I saw that, I thought human beings were here. You know, men, women, children who had lives, they had hopes and dreams, fears. They've stood before God. They're in eternity somewhere, heaven, hell, purgatory, on the way to heaven, whatever. They had hands, feet, eyes, ideas, and I'm in this place. But when it comes to our faith, you're bringing us through these series that you do, to places that have specific significance to our souls. What is that like, even on a deeper level? Because hearing your narration, seeing the clips is wonderful, but there has to be the side of Diana and Diana's husband. Maybe sit down and think, and when you pray, realizing that, you know, you're kissing these shrines, you're going to these places that have been around for 2,000 plus years, 2,000 years of Christianity. What's that like to know that these are brothers and sisters that have shared in the same Eucharist we share in?
Have you ever been to London?
I have not.
Okay. In London,
Working on
there's, well, like I said, I lived there for a year, and there's the Tower of London.
Right.
And inside of the Tower of London are the crown jewels, the real crown jewels. So you walk in and you see it, and it's all a museum, and you're standing there, and I remember the first time that I was looking at them, and I had to tell myself, that's a real diamond. This thing was huge. That's a real diamond. That's not pretend. That's a real I had to convince myself. I don't know if it's because we've seen so many movies or we're so, you know, it's the same way with a lot of these places, you know, with the Holy Land, especially recently because we were spending a lot of time in front, in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre where Jesus was crucified. There's a spot where people venerate the rock of Calvary. And we were standing there we stood there for a good 30 minutes filming, and it was surreal. You know, I mean, you're standing there and you just have to tell yourself, this is where it happened. I'm standing on the rock where this happened.
And we have cameras filming with this kind of technology, something that 2,000 years ago was so monumental for our redemption.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm always struck too by the sites in the Holy Land. This happened to me at Ephesus and in Nazareth especially, was the humility of it. You know, we dress things up in our culture, you know, a movie makes it big and fat and showy. But you think about like Nazareth at the time of Christ was like 30, 50 families. Or Ephesus, where Our Lady, she was outside of the town of Ephesus, you know, in this humble little spot. The holiest human person in the world, you know, lived this hidden life in humility. That always strikes me about a lot of these trips.
Well, and especially at Nazareth, you know, that the stable was a cave. It was a rock cave. So like there was no, you know, it was not comfortable. I mean, it wasn't what these Western stables that we think of, you know, and the home where the Holy Family lived was a cave. That's where people lived. Right. So it's weird to think about these things, you know, but you really, and it's difficult to wrap your mind around, essentially, is the answer to your question. It's very difficult to wrap your mind around. But I think it's something that, especially with the Holy Land, you take it home with you, and it recurs to you all the time during Easter, during Christmas, you know, during the Feast of the Annunciation, and when you're praying the Rosary. You are now, this is part of your meditation, this is part of your life, and it never leaves you. And in a lot of ways, you know, the shrines that we have in other places have a similar kind of like an echo in your life. That, you know, for instance, I live in the Philadelphia Archdiocese, so we have 5 shrines there. And one of them is the shrine to St. John Nepomucene Newman. And he had a huge impact on the city of Philadelphia. And, you know, you go there and you see this little man and you see his body in the glass tomb. And, you know, it just kind of seems weird because it's a costume, essentially, is what he's wearing. You know, his body's in there. But then you leave and you see the impact that he made on the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. You know, he brought 40 hours devotion to the United States. He brought so many wonderful things to the United States that he set up the school system in Philadelphia. And so, you know, his little life had such huge ripples, and those ripples affect me. And going to visit that shrine helped me realize that.
Oh, the difference between a vacation and a pilgrimage. Talk about that a little bit, because what you're describing right now, going to visit shrines, this is much different than, you know, I'm going to go visit the local casino, gamble a little bit, sit by the pool, you know, and I'm not knocking certain vacations, not all, certain vacations that can be good for the spirit to relax and put your feet up. You know, my wife and I took a few days and we just found a couple little trips. We just drove to here, we drove to there. We didn't have any specific thing. We just spent some time together. It was fantastic. It was really good just to take that breath. But there is something, but we did work in some making sure you visit a church here, visit something Catholic there. But what is the difference between an actual pilgrimage and a vacation?
Well, the pilgrimage begins before you go. You start to mentally prepare. And if you do it right, I mean, I think it's hard to do a pilgrimage and not encounter some kind of difficulty. And I think that that's part of it. The more I do it, the more I realize that that's part of it. And the more I see other people doing it and encountering the same kinds of issues, it blows my mind. I mean, for instance, with this recent trip, I had my husband had his heart attack. We lost the second cameraman. When we got there, we had all sorts of technical difficulties. A bug crawled into our camera and died in the middle of two lenses that we couldn't, I mean, a bug, we couldn't get him out without destroying the camera. So we had to shoot around it.
It's one of those things that just really bugs you when it's happening.
Right? And
it's bugging you. Well, let me show you.
But the whole time, and I'm thinking, this is unreal, these difficulties that we're facing. And then I met there were some Catholic Press Association journalists who went there also as guests of the Israel Ministry of Tourism, and they were having technical difficulties too. They were having trouble getting online. They were having trouble blogging. Things were getting lost. I mean, it was crazy. And I said to them, you guys, the devil does not want this trip to go well for you or for me or for anybody. He does not want this trip to go well. And I think that that's true of any pilgrimage. He will try to derail any pilgrimage in one way or another. He'll try to keep you focused on the logistics. He'll try to take away the spiritual aspect of it. He'll try all of these different things. And so a pilgrimage is different from a vacation in the sense that you have to stay focused on the purpose of the trip. You have to focus before you go and pray before you go and prepare yourself for the spiritual onslaught that you will get, because there will be a spiritual onslaught. You have to prepare yourself for it.
I like to tell people, like when I've been on a pilgrimage with a group as a priest, I'll tell them too, like, you're tired, you're jet lagged, and you have all these issues, and you might only have like this little window of time at the shrine that you seem like you've traveled, and you got to go again. I always say that God's not bound by time. He's not bound by how you feel, whether it's this great spiritual experience. It's an anointed place of grace, and you can go and say a prayer, and God can use that in a powerful way. And it's often not our expectations of how we'd like to do it, but realize God isn't bound by that situation.
Yeah.
And the church does, tell us that there are certain graces that we do receive for pilgrimages. Can you speak to that?
We can get plenary indulgences, absolutely. Even we can get plenary indulgences from visiting a shrine here in the United States. You have to, of course, follow the rules, and somebody has to say that you get the plenary indulgences. But absolutely, you depending on where you're going, I think that there's the Holy Land. A pilgrimage to the Holy Land was one of the first three, I believe, that plenary indulgences were attached to. Santiago de Compostela was the other one. I think Canterbury was the third. I forget. But yeah, so there are many spiritual benefits that you can get from.
And graces received for going to a shrine are different than graces received for going to a casino. Is that not right then, Father? There's a difference in there, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Father, if you could just help the audience understand more, just briefly, what plenary indulgence. I mean, for those who might not maybe heard the term, but heard it, they were taught that in third grade.
Right.
What does it mean? Why is it important?
Well, it's a remission of the temporal punishment due to sin in our life, that we know we commit sin. It deforms our character, and there's a disruption of justice. So in a sense, that has to be made right. And we do that solely by the grace of God. But a plenary is this full remission of temporal punishment, like we would work out in purgatory, so to speak, that can be remitted.
Right.
So the fact that God, through His church here on earth, gives us these opportunities constantly is another expression of His great mercy, that just to go to these holy places, these shrines, there's just something magnificent about that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good to encourage people to make pilgrimages.
It is, and one thing that I posted recently on my social media is, and it occurred to me, I was talking to somebody, so many people think, oh, well, travel is expensive, it's a luxury, I can't afford it. And let me tell you something, if you go to the Holy Land, your life will be changed, and it will be changed for the better. And not only will your life be changed, but you will be helping the people who live in the Holy Land make a living. The people in the Holy Land survive mostly by tourism. And if we don't go visit them, they're not going to be there much longer. You know, I mean, these Christians who live in the Holy Land, they need jobs. And a lot of them provide jobs that, you know, like they're tour guides or they sell trinkets that people buy. And so if we're not supporting them, then where will they go? And what will we be able to say about where the Christians went?
So not only do we receive the great benefit of such an incredible trip, we're helping brothers and sisters out there who are making their living off of providing this opportunity for us as well.
Absolutely.
Another clip we got coming up, Via Dolorosa.
Yep. The Way of the Cross.
Did I say that right, Father?
You said it like a dance. But I mean, like
the Via Dolorosa is nothing like salsa, let me tell you.
Okay. All right, well, let's check out this clip again from The Faithful Traveler.
Christians have been doing their best to follow in Jesus' footsteps since he first began to gather disciples more than 2,000 years ago. Today, we continue to do our best in our homes, at work, and in our everyday lives. For those of us who have been blessed with the opportunity to make a pilgrimage to the land where Jesus actually walked, it's hard to explain exactly how that experience can change your life. This really is hallowed ground, a land that people have called holy since time immemorial. While there are many inspirational things to do and places to visit here, for Christians, one thing, one place stands out. It's a way, a route that winds through the crowded and dusty streets of Jerusalem and ends at an old church built atop the most significant mount and tomb in all of time and space. The route is the Via Dolorosa, and the church is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
You have probably garnished quite a few air miles recently.
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah. When you get prepared for a trip, what do you and your husband go through? What's that like getting geared up? You know?
List making. I'm a good list maker.
You're a list maker.
Yeah, I
Is
like
your
the
husband?
lists. Yeah, he's good at
Okay,
lists.
all right.
Yeah.
My wife makes great lists. I just follow what she says on the list.
That's awesome. You should talk to my husband. No, he's good. Yeah, I mean, it depends on if we're going for, for ourselves or if we're going for the show. If we're going for the show, obviously, it's a lot more involved because then our lists include equipment lists, which are crazy.
But spiritual preparation, what's that got to be like for you? Because traveling is tiring. It takes its toll. Blessed Mother Teresa at one point said, "If old age doesn't kill me, traveling will." Yeah. I mean, and it can wear on a person after a while, psychologically as well as physically.
Yeah, you get cabin fever with whoever you're with. You're going to be sick of them by the end of the 10th day. And again, it's an opportunity to grow in patience and charity. It's expectations.
You can often get sick.
Oh gosh, yeah. I was sick when we filmed the Holy Land pilgrimage in 2011. I had the worst cold ever, and I felt horrible the whole time. And
I heard about that. That was actually on Wikipedia. The worst cold ever. Diana von Glahn, 2011. Yeah, that was on there.
One of the pilgrims wrote it because they were sick of hearing me coughing and sneezing. They were like, "Give that girl some Kleenex, somebody." It was horrible. So, but yeah, I mean,
there's got to be a lot of just spiritually, preparing. I know for me, but just my local travels and my work here in the States, and sometimes outside the country, and we're getting ready for, when we do things for EWTN for Life on the Rock, there has to be spiritual preparation behind. So, what would you tell the audience out there about spiritually preparing for a trip that has any kind of relation or connection to a shrine or a pilgrimage?
Well, obviously, you want to do something that is associated with the shrine or where you're going, because it'll make it more meaningful. So, for instance, we were recently in Avila. I read a lot of St. Teresa of Avila's works. Or, before going to the Holy Land, I read the Gospels. So, you want to do that. So before preparation is good, but I also want to really make sure that people remember to pray when they're there. Morning prayer is probably the most important prayer. And I learned that on this trip because, like I said, I mean, we had a real onslaught of just issues. And Fortunately, I have this MP3 set of Pope John Paul II praying the Rosary. Every morning I would pray all 3 decades of the Rosary while I was getting ready, and I got to tell you, I think it saved my life. It was the best preparation for every day, and I couldn't have prepared in any better way than by starting with the Rosary. And I highly recommend that for people, because when you're there, it's like, get up, let's go, let's see things, you know, but it's like, no, stop.
So you just spend more time focusing on what pictures you're going to take, what footage you're going to shoot, than you know, the actual spiritual aspect of why you're there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One thing I like about traveling too, and traveling with people, especially like people that first time have been to a place. Life on the Rock, you know, we'll interview young people like in Rome, maybe there for the first time. And it's absolutely fascinating to me to see what they pick up on. You know, what they, especially like a first-time person, especially like a young person, you know, the things that they feel. And do you find that true?
Absolutely. One of the cameramen that we brought with us this time, his name was Andy, and he's not Catholic. And he had never been in fact, he'd never been anywhere. And we were joking with him because I said, Andy, have you ever been to a Mass before? And he said no. His first Mass was the Mass celebrated by the Pope in Bethlehem. I was like, tell people about that, Andy. So, you know.
How's the second one going to go?
Right? I know. But it was wonderful to see things through his eyes.
Exactly. This is not like what I'm used to. Where's the Pope?
It was great, though, yeah. Seeing, and that's the thing with pilgrims, too, is, you know, when you're with pilgrims, and it's nice to be able to see their excitement and to see them being touched. And everybody is touched by a different place or a different thing, but there's always something that gets
And so much of that has to do with where each of us is at the time we're there.
Absolutely.
And that changes from time to time. I know one more clip we need to get to here before we wrap up here. Can you tell us about this, your most recent trip clip?
This is a very rough compilation of some footage from our most recent trip.
Okay. The one that your husband was not on.
The one that my husband was not on.
So we're praying for him.
It was, so this was when we were in the Holy Land a couple weeks ago, and I didn't even go through half of the footage. I mean, there was so much amazing stuff that we shot. So this was just a little bit of what I saw, just to give you guys a feel for what's going to happen and some of the amazing people that we met.
And we will see this coming out soon.
You will.
The whole
You will
picture.
see it, unless my computer explodes. It will be out soon.
Or a bug crawls inside of it and dies right where it shouldn't die. All right, check out this from the most recent trip to the Holy Land.
We're just about ready to land. We've had a 12-hour flight. So when we get there, we're going to hit the ground running. Welcome to Tel Aviv.
This is a mama turtle having some salad. I'm walking.
Yes. A lot of good people came out of Nazareth.
And they continue to come out of Nazareth, right?
Yes.
Like, oh wait, now how do I say thank you in Arabic? Shukran. How was your trip here in
it's been absolutely wonderful. I'm with such a lovely group of people.
Doesn't it make your trip more special, right? I mean, you guys have this bond that now, you know, whenever you see each other, it's going to be like, we shared this together. But it's just an amazing buzz. Everybody is so excited. You're seeing flags from different countries. The Vatican flag is everywhere. There are signs welcoming the Pope everywhere throughout Bethlehem. And I think everybody's just so happy. We're praying for peace. We're praying for unity. We're praying for the Holy Land. Did you bring stuff for him to bless?
Not like that. We want to bless ourselves, not something step or something
right?
like that.
This is good. Bless
Yes,
this.
bless us. That's where you're
And it goes everywhere you go.
Offro la mia casa in Vaticano per ospitare questo incontro di preghiera.
We in Francis, as a church, as a Catholic church, as Christians, as the whole world is learning from him.
You know, a visitor who comes here needs not just to leave with the photographs they've taken on their cell phone, but to be able to say to themselves, hold a conversation within themselves about this reality, We have a God who is faithful in his love towards us and never takes it back.
And today we are proud that we've preserved the site the way John and Jesus saw.
This is the Holy Land. And this is a camel.
Wow, that's incredible stuff. Okay, so the whole program is going to be coming out very soon.
Yes.
All right, once you sit down.
Inshallah, as they say in Arabic, God willing.
God willing, there you go. Okay. All right, before we run out of time here, first, how do people go to your blog page, your websites? Give us any and all information people need to go to get more information on details and advice on traveling for the faith.
Oh yeah, go to our website, www.thefaithfultraveler.com. Okay. You can find links to all of our social media and everything there. I'm constantly posting pictures. I'll probably post some pictures from tonight. And that, I mean, you can watch videos there.
Pictures of your shoes are on there.
Pictures of my shoes, blog posts about my shoes, blog posts about my husband's heart attack. I mean, you name it, I'll blog about it.
How about your dog? Any pictures of your dog on
Oh, everybody who follows me knows Nemo. Nemo's my baby.
Okay, so he's a fish.
He's a little black dog.
He's a dog named Nemo. Okay, I was thinking fish, Nemo. Okay.
No. Right. Yeah, so there are pictures. There are also, pretty soon we're going to be leading pilgrimages to the Holy Land.
Great.
So we have one that we're planning for April of 2015, and we're also planning one in October of 2015. Okay. So we're something exciting that we're going to start doing.
Okay, the last few minutes. Tell the audience why. Why is it so important they both watch your show, and this isn't for self-promotion, but your show has a certain credibility to it because of what it's about. And I say credibility for lack of a better word. There's an importance to it. There's something there. Why do you think it's important that people watch a show like what you're producing and doing? And then the second question, I'll ask after you answer the first one. Go ahead.
Watch my show because it rocks.
There you go. No. This show rocks.
The reason that we produce the show and why I think it is important to me, and why I hope it would be important to others, is because we want to present our faith in the world to people who either cannot go themselves ever because of financial or health issues, or who have never thought to go for whatever reasons, because they're too busy thinking about Las Vegas or Cancun, And we want to present it to them as something that they might do. And I think that these are places that are important because, to me, this kind of travel is the travel that can lead you to heaven. And in my mind, there is no greater goal. So, sure, laying out on the beach is relaxing and fun, but I'd rather work on getting to heaven, and going to places where I learn about saints who inspire me, or going to places where I feel God in the rocks and in the people. That, I think, leads me closer to him.
Okay, that sets up my last question. You got 30 seconds to answer this. The voices of all of those who have ever come to these places of pilgrimage over the last 2,000 years of Christianity, what do you think, including the saints themselves, what do you think they would be saying to us today about taking advantage of an opportunity like going to visit a shrine? The voices of the past.
Go as soon as you can.
Why?
If you can go, it will change your life. I mean, I know it sounds so, like a Hallmark card, but it will change the way you look at people. It will change the way you think about yourself. It will change the way you think about God. And it will change it all for the better.
That's great.
Go today.
Diana, thank you very much, and great work, and we'll pray for your husband's full recovery.
Thank you. Thanks so
I'm going to pass off to Father Mark. I just want to say a farewell to Jill. Jill, it has been a real honor and a pleasure working with you these 5 or so years, and I just pray for you, and on behalf of my wife and my kids who all know you, thank you so much for everything you've done for me and my family, and again, a real honor fighting this fight with you. The spiritual battle. Thank you.
We love you, Jill.
Yeah. Father?
All right, may our Heavenly Father shine His face upon you. May He give you His peace. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We'll see you next week on Life on the Rock.